Welcome to Strat News Global. I'm Ramananda Sengupta, and I'm sitting here in Astana in the office of Ambassador Doulat Kuanyshev, who happens to be one of Kazakhstan's foremost diplomats. He has served in India, he has served as ambassador to Israel, and now he's an expert on military and political affairs at the Conference on Interaction and Confidence Building in Asia. Thank you so much for joining us, sir. I appreciate your taking time out.
Thank you very much.
Sir, I'd just like to know,
Yes.
what does this CICA really do?
CICA is one of the projects that has been developed for the last 30 plus years, initially by Kazakh diplomats, later on all the other member states diplomats continued to develop this project and they tried to transform it into the full-fledged international organization that serves interests of all its member states that are mainly situated in Asia. And its name, you see, the basic concept for CICA is confidence-building measures.
Okay.
Meaning that we are not starting, many different projects, they talk about development, about cooperation, but we decided, those who initiated the project, they found out that actually we need to first to establish confidence among Asian countries, because Asian countries were still lacking confidence in each other. They were not confident enough about each other's intentions, about each other's interests, etc., whether they coincide or whether they diverge, etc. And finally, today, this is a forum that unites 28 member states, including India, of course, Kazakhstan, many Central Asian countries from East Asia like China, South Korea, countries from South Asia like India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, yes, and Sri Lanka. Yes, countries from Southeast Asia like Thailand, Vietnam, yes, Cambodia, and countries from Central Asia, as I told, all Central Asian countries, including Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, and Uzbekistan, and Azerbaijan on the Caucasus, Russian Federation, yes, and countries in the west of Asia, including Turkey, Gulf countries like Emirates, Bahrain, Qatar. Then you have Kuwait and Iraq.
So almost entirely Asia.
So and finally you have Egypt and Israel and Palestine. Yes. So all the countries that are very diverse, and of course I forgot to mention that Iran and Afghanistan are also part of the project, but you know that Afghanistan, due to certain developments, we know that it is not right now a part of the organization, but at the same time did not secede from the organization. It's still, its status is on limbo. I don't know, it's rather, yes, not clear, but otherwise all these countries represent very diverse as Asia is, but at the same time Asia during all this period and even recently is one of the becoming the most important part of the whole global world, and of course Asia needs some kind of intercontinental cooperation and development, and probably CICA may fill into this need or cater to this need and become a tool to make Asia a better place to live in and to make Asian countries more amiable to each other, more neighborly to each other, more, let's say, cooperative with each other, etc., etc. And in the meanwhile, we have established a lot of partnership with UN structures and with sister organizations, let's say, like SCO, for example, and so on and so forth.
Since you mentioned SCO, sir, do you think the trajectory of the two, CICA and SCO, are almost the same in the sense that they started off with SCO? I mean, SCO to do with Central Asia, perhaps initially. It was called the Shanghai.
You see, origins of two are slightly different. Of course, for example, SCO was it evolved quite naturally out of the boundary
disputes.
Yes, boundary disputes management,
Right.
Between former China and Soviet Union.
Right.
And after Soviet Union was disbanded, dissolution of Soviet Union, Russian Federation, and three Central Asian newly emerged states like Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, and Tajikistan. Later on, of course, countries like Uzbekistan were not to be excluded, and Turkmenistan is also having some relations with SCO. But rather naturally, the initial SCO, let's say, appearance was Shanghai 5.
Right.
And it later evolved into this SCO, Shanghai Cooperation Organization, when in 2005 countries like India and Pakistan joined as partners, and for time finally they became, if I'm not mistaken, 2017 full-fledged members of the SCO, and now SCO is going to accept countries like Iran and Belarus, I understand, as full-fledged members, and of course CICA has got and SCO. They seem like very similar, but in fact,
origins are different.
Origins are different. And second, of course, in SCO we see very important stress emphasized on those fighting the evils like terrorism, extremism and separatism, and SCO was has its regional anti-terror structure. Rats, yes.
Yeah, rats.
It's rather. I think that they are much more profound cooperation on issues like counterterrorism or strengthening and enhancing security and safety between the states.
So the SCO summit is starting tomorrow.
Yes.
Today we had President Xi coming in, and I remember seeing that, I believe Kazakh Air Force escorted his plane the moment it came into Kazakh airspace. I think Kazakh Air Force planes escorted him.
Right.
Brought him here. Is that a standard thing for every state, or is that only for SCO?
Well, I'm not familiar.
Anybody else who's got that kind of treatment?
I'm not familiar with this particular issue. Was not following this, so I cannot be an expert on this particular issue. Yes, but the presidency, he is paying probably. I'm not sure. He almost every second year he's in Kazakhstan. He's paying visits to Kazakhstan every second year.
Right.
Yes, and he and President Tokayev visited China. He visits regularly, and they see each other in different other forums or occasions, and they do it not single time, not once a year. They usually see each other twice or thrice or even more. And this maintains dialogue intensive, but it also reflects the real cooperation ongoing between the countries.
Of course.
Yeah, because Kazakhstan was the country where actually President Xi announced and proclaimed this BRI program.
Right.
Yes. Yeah. China regards Kazakhstan as the keystone of its strategy of good
Central Asia itself.
and Central Asia in general. But Kazakhstan is particularly, because of the vastness of Kazakhstan, it's pivotal in the central role in terms of transit, in terms of all this transportation routes. And that's why I think that it is something that is indispensable.
Right.
Those exchanges, those visits, mutual visits between the countries, on the one hand. On the other hand, you see China is main investor in Kazakhstan. And bilateral trade is, of course, is only slightly less than the bilateral trade of Kazakhstan with the whole of European Union. Otherwise, China is the biggest individual trade partner of Kazakhstan. And of course, we have a big common border, which have those, let's say, they call it land ports between the two. And of course, we have some problems in terms of trade and transportation, but they are sorted out one by one. Yes. And I think that today Kazakhstan is part of this middle transport corridor between China and Europe, and so it is. It will be. It goes via Caspian Sea, and so I think that right now we are very important partners in terms of trade and investment. But the prospects are even bigger. But China, by the way, like India, are very natural and very big partner and member state of CICA.
Right.
Yes, and both countries, of course, we are not. We also read all those articles in the Western media about the rivalry between the two superpowers in the Central Asian field. Yes, but we understand there is a reason for that. It is something natural that to those big economic powers, they look for more opportunities to develop their own economic and vital interests. But at the same time, we understand there is a big space for us to do it concurrently, do it parallelly, and of course, we hope that it will go the way that it will serve only for the bettering both economic situation and the conditions for those greater exchanges. Yes.
Sir, let me take you back separately since we spoke about China.
Right.
Let me take you back. You're known as a big friend of India.
Right.
Back in India, a lot of people keep saying that, that you're one of the biggest friends India has. And from your time as ambassador there till now,
right,
what changes have you seen in bilateral relations between Kazakhstan and India?
Well, you see, I Since stopped being ambassador of Kazakhstan to India, I saw that the changes were mostly.
You never stop being a person of concern to you.
Yes. No, I'm very fond of India. My whole family are fond of India, and you see, for me, India is a place to be back every time, and I do it with great affection. But what is important that since I left England, I saw only positive trends. I saw that growing mutual interest, growing mutual exchanges, this new regime for Indian tourists to Kazakhstan that they can visit without visas. Kazakhstan for a certain period of time. It was a big step forward, and more air. Yes, flights between two countries, but of course, COVID pandemic period severely was a severe blow to this, and I think that it is not only this particular case. In many ways,
Across the world.
Yeah, pandemics across the world, they hit all the activities, including this one. But right now, I see positive signs of positive development towards returning to this positive trend. I see that Indian ambassador here, Mr. Nagendra, she is very active. I know that Nurlan, ambassador of Kazakhstan to India, is very active and very much involved. I follow him on Facebook. And I see that there is, in general, a big potential. Probably not all was untapped, but still this potential should be developed and come to bigger realization. Of course, there was a big Indian problem because you have this Indian strategy connect Central Asia. And since the times I was...
Yes, I want to ask you that because there's a lot.
But I understand that still the project of the development of Chabahar as a how do you call it, as a main main corridor, north-south corridor, is still not fully developed.
That has a lot to do with sanctions. It has a lot to do with, I think, different people having different agendas along that entire thing. That's also there.
Yeah, you see, I'm not sure I know all the specifics or details of what is going on right now, but I see that the general trend is positive, and I know cultural exchanges are there. The
cultural exchanges have been there for a long time. So I mean,
right. India is a big, of course, cultural. It has its soft power, yes, in Central Asia from the past, and is continuing to be so. Yes, like this. And now we have a lot of exchanges in terms of education, because a lot of Indian students coming here to study in Kazakhstan, and from time to time I see them in metro, and I ask whether you are Indian, etc., etc. What do you like? And of course, the only thing they all coincide in not liking too much, it's Kazakhstani winter. Otherwise, they are more or less okay with Kazakhstan. But of course, the weather in winter is rather something that Indian students are not.
So I know that
yes.
I know that you have a busy schedule, so I just keep two short questions just
right.
Close the interview, sir. One is that, I know you said that you've not been really tracking what's going on with the SEO, but personally, what could you want to be the outcome of, let's say, this particular summit? I mean, something that you would like to see. It's particularly personal.
I think that I put aside my personal yes predilections or whatever, but I think that the SCO evolution is evolution towards creating a sort of another structure that is trying to work in terms of developing multi polar world. And in the sense, SCO is one of the instruments to develop and procreate this concept of polar world as opposite to unipolar world. You see, and in this sense, of course, the states by themselves, they cannot do everything, but they should create in the let's say interaction. They should create conditions for their businesses, for their particular agencies or particular sectors to develop their own potential in order to make this multipolar world true. And I think that it is about also trying to cooperate in dealing with the problems that they face, every single state face, or they face that there are so-called transnational, transborder problems, new threats and new challenges that should be also dealt with. And in this sense, SCO member states try to, of course, today we have a situation of so-called, certain a period of new globally. We have a certain disenchantment with globalization. Of course, globalization is very positive, was very positive process and is very positive, but it also, of course, everything has its own, let's say, flip side, right? And in this sense, probably today is the moment to critically reassess what was going on in globalization. And probably SEO is also dealing with these issues as well. And I see that today it has they already developed quite a few, I would say, tracks with cooperation that are rather already well established. They have already so-called institutional memory of different things to doing things together. And I think they also learn to cooperate with each other, even those countries that sometimes are not willing to do it on bilateral basis.
I was just thinking, it struck me when you said that, CICA works by consensus. In an increasingly troubled world, you have, Ukraine crisis, West Asia crisis, other crises all over the world. How difficult is it to achieve that consensus? Is there some kind of a aim that you have?
I think, first of all, it should be there should be a realistic approach. You should not put objectives or targets that are too much for today. You should put something realistically, let's say, developed concept or objective, and so try to develop algorithm to reach it. So first of all, you do steps that are according to today's, let's say, space of opportunity. Otherwise, if you don't have this approach, then you run into the troubles, you run into the unnecessary emotional approaches, etc., exchanges, and they sometimes happen, of course, because it is international organization.
Why I asked that question was that, you said SCO started off as a border thing. So there were always some formulas used to sort out the border issue. Yes, the same thing has not been applied to, let's say, the China-India border thing. So it means that, it's very difficult to just transpose the same solution somewhere else.
You see, multilateral diplomacy is probably about countries being rather understanding, based on mutual understanding. What does it mean? If we cannot solve this problem on bilateral terms, why we should put it into the agenda of multilateral? When two of us, we don't have a same opinion, or rather potential solution, why we put it here? It makes no sense. It makes it does not help. Only in the case you are sure you may somehow develop a new solution, then it makes sense. Otherwise, it does not. And we know that in many ways, India, for example, does not want to discuss international some problems with some of the neighbors, because it considers it's on a bilateral issue rather than issue for multilateral dialogue, right?
So, last question, I know we're out of time, but given all the troubles that we are facing across the world, are you hopeful about things changing, or do you see it becoming worse?
Well, I'm not an oracle. You see, I'm not an oracle, but I see big trends, and big trends, they show that of course we have this zigzag development in many ways, but still the evolution is of course, I know that in terms, for example, of industrial invention, this zigzag always goes one way, up and up and up. In terms of political development and the human development, sometimes it goes like slowly, sometimes backward, but mostly the development is slow and positivist. Yes, I think that things move on up to the reasonable, rational, and right way. Of course, we have a lot of things, because some groups of interest, they consider the interests are not taken into account. That's why they claim their own goals, and they claim that the goals are different. But I think in general, we move towards positive. But I'm not sure which picture we will see. Will we see the picture of increased diversity, or increased I would say uniformity? Yes, it is something that to be discussed.
Nobody knows, really.
Nobody knows, and I think that in many ways, I think that the diversity is not bad if it does serve interest of the majority of people, of population, etc., etc. If it serves the interests of this of the people, yes, I think that diversity probably good. That we visit other countries because we like this
Absolutely
diverse and rather They are strange, but at the same time they are interesting. We are curious about them. We are, of course, we like to have this new exchange of those impressions, etc., etc.
Right.
And I think that diversity is good, but you see, you need this uniformity in terms of satisfying the needs, but we need at the same time diversity in developing your own individualities, your own identities.
And be able to live with somebody else who's different.
Right, right.
That's important too.
Yes.
So on that positive note, sir, I really like to end this interview. Thank you so very much, sir.
Thank you.
And I really appreciate you taking time out. I know you have a busy schedule, particularly now with your CEO.
Right.
I look forward to, meeting you again someday soon. Whenever you're in India, sir, do look us up. That was Ambassador Doulat Kuanyshev, one of India's best friends, talking to us about peace, the SCO summit, and the world in general. I think we discussed a lot about what's been going on with CICA, with SCO and everything. I do hope you enjoyed this particular edition of The Gist. I look forward to having you with us again. Till then, this is Ramananda Sengupta signing out.